Pura Vida meets pure joy. Pura Vida trips and scholarships have allowed us to meet students and assist with education and nutrition, things we often take for granted. Hopefully it brings them as much joy as it does to us.
Pura Vida is a collection of people who care about the betterment of Guatemalans through nutrition, education, and housing.
My time with Pura Vida has helped keep me grounded in what most of the world is like and gotten me out of the Highlands ranch bubble.
Pura Vida is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for a young person to follow their dream.
Pura Vida is a great organization that has a meaningful impact in rural Guatemala. I am happy to support its mission.
Pura Vida is creating a brighter future for the children of Guatemala.
The eager learning eyes of the children at English camp, the youngsters at the nutrition center getting a better start, and most of all, those thrilling letters from our sponsored students. That's what I love about Pura Vida.
I think the emphasis on relationships is what makes Pura Vida different from other organizations. We build long-term relationships with our sponsor students with our letters that we write. And those of us who are able to go on the trips down to Guatemala enjoy meeting those students personally, while also developing relationships with the families we build homes for.
Pura Vida is a partnership with the people of Guatemala. Both sides contribute something unique, and both sides benefit. It's been an honor to be part of this effort for 20 years now.
Thanks to all of the Pura Vida supporters and leaders who've helped make Pura Vida Ministries a great success for the last 20 years.
Good evening and welcome to the 2023 annual gathering of Pura Vida and the 20th anniversary celebration. I'm Jerry Hertzler.
And I'm his brother.
He's my old brother. And
it's hard to tell what I'm older.
We come from a long line of, well, not come from, but we represent a long line of duos who have hosted events such as this in the past. Think
like Smothers Brothers?
Smothers Brothers.
Yeah.
Dan Rowan and Dick Martin, if you remember the Laugh-In. Or for our younger audience, you know, Bert and Ernie. So we are here to uphold those high ideals. And
what about the Righteous Brothers?
We'd have to sing if we. Oh, okay. But before we kick off the program, we have a great program in store for you. And before we kick that off, I'd like to introduce Michelle Kaminsky, Reverend Michelle Kaminsky, who is the lead minister here at St. Luke's United Methodist Church. And she and I had an opportunity to move some blocks around this last March. So she is going to bless us in our festivities this evening. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jerry. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to St. Luke's United Methodist Church and the Pura Vida wonderful annual gathering, which is 20 years old. How exciting, for 20 years, done amazing things. I did go in March, and some of my clergy colleagues were asking me, would I recommend it? Where are you, Lauren and AJ? Yes, yes, and anybody else who's thinking about it, definitely go. Let's pray. Gracious and loving God, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to share what we have so we can make life livable for all. God, we ask that you bless this evening, that you inspire us to give, that you move us to connect with students and people and each other and your desire for us and how we help support this amazing program. God, I ask that you bless each person who will be presenting tonight, that their words inspire and move us to do more than what we thought we would be doing tonight. God, thank you for the ways you move in us and through us. And we ask everyone who works for Pura Vida to be blessed as well. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, St. Luke's, for hosting the event again this year. I think this is the 4th year we've been able to meet here and celebrate.
Yeah, this is a great gathering, the 20th anniversary of a organization that is embodied in this group. This is the organization. This is Pura Vida. The theme tonight is planting seeds, and these are grown-up seeds a bit from the ones that were planted 20 years ago and between then and now. Tonight we're going to have a few speakers, I think 4 speakers, a couple of videos which are going to be, they are very well done. A few opportunities for the audience to get involved a little bit, which, you know, it's, as long as you don't mind being hypnotized, it's going to go fine. And we have an iPad to give away at the end of the evening, so make sure you stick around for that. That's a heads or tails. It's all by chance. So there's a chance that you'll win an iPad tonight. And we're going to celebrate where we've been as an organization, where we've come, and then how the organization may look going forward.
Yes, and we'd also like to welcome the folks who are joining us on the live stream. We are being broadcast around the world, which is very, I'm like a deer in the headlights. But thank you for joining us this evening. Wish you could be here in person. And especially thank you to bienvenidos to those who are joining us in Guatemala. And a special shout out to Mako. Mako, we know you're still recovering from your accident earlier this year, and we wish you all our prayers and thoughts are with you. Hope you can feel the love and support you have in this community. Dios te bendiga, my friend.
Yeah, okay.
That's Spanish.
Was it? Okay. I thought it was quiche.
No.
Can you say it quiche?
No.
Okay. Is that quiche?
Yes.
We're here to raise money tonight, to celebrate and to raise money. The way we do that is the auction out here, but also what is called a paddle raise. So the paddle raise is kind of a old technology of giving money at events like this. You used to hold up a paddle, had a number on it, and people up here like us would say, who's in for 10 grand? You know, and a bunch of paddles would go up. Or 1,000 or 500 or whatever. So anyway, we've moved to a higher technology thing. It's not AI, it's not artificial intelligence. This is real intelligence, real people, so don't let it be intimidating. Hopefully you got signed up and outside, got the app or the website on your phone to where you can be making those bids and those
QR code.
And there's a QR code up here.
Up here.
And up here, if you need to scan that, I see someone's doing that right now. If you do that, it'll take you to the website and guide you through how to prepare to give.
And for you live streamers, we don't want you to feel left out. You are ready. You hopefully can get connected to the Octria website as well. The QR code should be available to you on the YouTube screen. And we recommend 2 devices if you are doing that. So you can watch the live stream and watch the comedy routine here on one device, and then maybe use your phone to access the Octria website and either bid on the silent auction items if you haven't already been doing that, or also contribute in the paddle raise opportunities you'll see here in a little while. If you have any live streamers, if you have any technical issues, just raise that issue in the chat window and somebody will be online to help you with that issue.
We talked about the silent auction. That is not over. So you can, with this real person technology, continue to bid while you're in here, so you can watch your favorite item as it goes up. you'll probably get a little message, and you can just keep bidding, just almost like a like button. You just keep hitting it. That bidding will close 5 minutes after the close of the program here. And just a shout out to everybody that brought those items and donated. Us that bid on them, when we leave, we've spent some money, but we walk away with something. The people who have donated these items, that's just out of their generosity, out of their hearts, out of their support for the organization, and a lot of you are sitting out there right now, so thank you very much for that. We have one item that we want to reveal here. This is a painting, Impressionist, they say, and I'm trying to think what the name of that is. It's like Angry Trees or something. I don't know. This has been donated by Paul Versteeg. He is a talented artist, as you can tell, from, I believe, Fort Collins. He's also a member of the Pura Vida family. He's made a trip or two, and I believe he is planning on making a trip next year on with the English camp. So thanks to Paul for offering this artwork for tonight. I think the opening bid on this is... The current bid is $1,600. $1,600. So eyes down, bid. Bid.
Okay, a couple of other housekeeping things. We expect the program to go about 90 minutes. And the restrooms, if you haven't found them already, are down the hall and on the left. So just
feel free to, if you need to get up, that's fine as long as the fasten seatbelt side's off. You can get up and do that.
So we'd like to start with our first speaker this evening. She is a founding board member. She's a retired United Methodist minister and was part of the first official Pura Vida group to go to Guatemala in 2002. Please join me in welcoming Linda Marshall.
I am so honored to be a part of this gathering, and to think about where we were 20 years ago and then to see what has all evolved is just amazing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my perspective of the history of the beginnings. Pura Vida Ministries would not be in existence were it not for the transformation and determination of a financially successful young adult, his father, and a group of nuns in Lamoa, Guatemala. I know that Mark Ely doesn't want this evening to focus upon him. However, Mark Ely is responsible for not only the vision, but the diligent, faithful, persistent, and compassionate evolution of this ministry, which continues to impact children, teachers, families, friends, and all of us. Following the death of Mark's mother, his dad, Richard Ely, invited Mark to join him on a church-sponsored mission trip to Guatemala as a way to work through their grief. That experience in May of 1999 provided Mark with exposure to the living conditions of the people in Lamoa. He then spent an extended amount of time with the nuns of Lamoa, who inspired and informed him of the essential needs of Lamoa. Mark then began sharing with his faith community of Trinity United Methodist Church in downtown Denver his growing vision for a mission trip with members of Trinity. I was privileged to participate in that first trip, which he organized by himself in February of 2002. Through the minimal connections he had already made, he rented a van. How many of you have ridden in a van driven by Mark? Yeah, okay, it's a good experience, isn't it? Memorable. So he rented a van to transport our team, secured lodging at Hotel Villa Grande in Chichicastenango. Have any of you stayed in that hotel? Yep, a few, yes, you have. Then he transported us to and from Lamoa. There we were introduced to life in Lamoa through helping with the beginnings of the retreat center, painting and doing maintenance at the orphanage, and leading afternoon activities with the local children. Having over 100 children show up that first afternoon was quite remarkable for us. Our eyes were opened and our hearts were touched, ready to develop more mission trips. That was a transforming experience for each of us on that trip. For weeks, each time I opened the refrigerator or the pantry or my closet, I would cry because of the contrast in the abundance of my life to what I had experienced in Lamoa. Most of us who experience a transforming experience on a mission trip return home with that desire and determination to make a difference. Then we get back into our regular routines, and the passion kind of begins to diminish. However, Mark's transformation from that first trip in 1999 did not diminish, nor did his passion with his father's interest in that as well. As we were flying home from the Guatemala 2002 mission trip, Mark shared with me his growing vision for a nonprofit to address the needs of the people in Guatemala. While he had an exceptionally successful career in software development, Mark subsequently quit that very lucrative software job, got rid of most of his possessions, including his 2 vehicles. Ask him about those sometime. He moved in with friends and focused on the work of developing a nonprofit, supplementing his income with consulting on the side. This growing vision led to meetings with the Trinity United Methodist Church staff, Trinity Young Adults, the Mission Committee, and Trinity Council. And eventually, an advisory board was formed to begin the process of establishing Pura Vida as an official nonprofit. Richard Ely, his father, was an essential component of helping this vision come into being and continues to be. Richard, your dedication and wisdom helped lay the foundation to make it an incorporated Pura Vida Ministries. Raise your hand so that everybody knows where you are. And supported by his wife, Linda. Those first years were lean on financial resources, but there was also a commitment to developing a clear vision that addressed some of the greatest needs of the Lamoa community without that savior complex of us coming in to save the people. The board was also diligent in involving the Trinity congregation, resulting in eventually a mission team trip, partnering with teams to help build homes, and the tradition of biannual trips for the older teens of the church. Subsequent trips, the development of the website, visits to other congregations, all evolved to an expansion of involvement. The scholarship program grew with additional sponsors and direct connections with community educators, which helped secure students for the program, engaging the community to identify families in need of housing, learning how to build Guatemala-style homes, the need for distributing milk supplements. All of these became responses to intentional listening to the needs of the people, rather than us trying to decide what we thought they needed. I mentioned the van which Mark drove that first work trip. Renting and driving those vans was helpful for transporting the teams, but also involved challenges, including multiple breakdowns, close encounters with chicken buses on those narrow, winding roads, and an occasional mattress that would fly off of the van. And Mark got very good at maneuvering around whatever flew off of the chicken buses. Later, as you might know, he discovered a way to rent a chicken bus, hiring a local driver and a translator for each of those trips. Not only did that enhance the experience of the mission trip participants and relieve Mark from that responsibility, one translator especially enhanced the life of Mark. And Leslie joined the Pura Vida community and Mark's life. Leslie, where are you? There you are. Leslie, your love of Mark and your beloved Guatemala continues to be a blessing that ensures the future of Pura Vida with the commitment to working with the people and empowering the people and the children through education. And Matthew, raise your hand. Your birth and your life brings such joy, and your participation in Pura Vida is an inspiration. In the early years, Mark was supported by the Trinity Church and the board of directors, but he did most of the legwork, including those multiple trips to Guatemala to develop essential relationships and making arrangements for all of the work trips. Thanks to the growing involvement of many of you gathered here and those around the country and the world, Pura Vida has a depth of support for Mark and Leslie and Matthew. Those who have been part of Pura Vida since its inception, those who have become involved in various ways over the past 20 years, have been transformed. And we continue to be inspired by the dedication of Mark, Leslie, Richard, Linda, Matthew, and the board of directors, and everyone involved with Pura Vida. I am incredibly grateful to have been a part of its formation and exceedingly grateful to witness the evolution of this empowering ministry. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Linda. We'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about the Pura Vida's mission and philosophy behind the mission, that the projects that happen down in Guatemala. The mission is to facilitate the sharing of resources with rural Guatemalan communities in a meaningful, respectful, and long-term way. Our programs focus on partnering with the people of Guatemala in a way that preserves dignity and promotes initiative.
We work with specific communities over the long term, not just going into one, leaving, going into another, not to be seen again. We're focused on community and helping communities help themselves. We develop long-term relationships and support these communities and help them support themselves from the inside, putting people in a better position to better themselves and better their community as well.
We look at our work as a partnership, not a one-way street. We join with the folks in the communities that we work in, and the programs are focused on a hand up rather than just a hand out. The challenge is to give in such a way that those that we serve become more self-sufficient in the long run. Beneficiaries usually contribute to their construction of their home if they're a beneficiary of a home. The students are required to keep their grades up and do well in school, thereby getting a vested interest in their home or their education.
And we believe that education is one of the best ways to help people help themselves. The primary focus is on education through the scholarships, through tutoring, through supporting local schools. And we've seen young scholarship recipients develop into responsible, self-reliant adults, some who are now working for Pura Vida in their country.
Unfortunately, the public education system in Guatemala is pretty rudimentary. The government doesn't do a lot toward public education. They don't provide a lot of benefits that way. In fact, it's limited to the elementary education curriculum. Many of the costs associated with that for supplies and whatnot are borne, the cost of those supplies are borne by the families who send their kids to school. So unfortunately, a lot of the families can only afford to send their kids to school for a few years, and the average education in the area where we work is about third grade.
Okay, this is where we start getting the audience involved a little bit and recognize people who have been active in the organization in various ways. So we're going to ask people to begin standing up. If you have been to Guatemala on a work trip, ever, please stand up. If you have helped with a milk run down there, please stand up. If you have been involved in English camp, please stand up. Medical trip, please stand up.
And remain standing, please.
And please, yeah, remain standing. There's more to this. Yeah. Or a project tour, insight tour, please stand up. Wonderful. Okay, now we've got some gift cards to give away. And you want to help me with this?
Sure. If you've been on 5 or more trips of any kind through Pura Vida, please remain standing.
Yeah, there is some challenges, and Janet raised this challenge. I mean, there's some of us who just have lost track of how many trips. Anybody out there like that, just kind of lost track? And then there's some that have reached my age that just lose track of a lot of things that we just can't remember.
Okay.
Okay, so we have quite a few still standing. How about 7 or more?
Remain standing.
Remain standing. 10 or more? Remain standing.
All right, I think we have some winners.
We have some winners. Woo-hoo.
Betsy Kia.
Betsy.
Mike and Laura Richards.
And probably the sound man. That's great. That's great. Well, I'm sure others are going to reach those milestones soon in the coming years. Speaking of coming years, is there anyone here who made their first trip this year, 2023? Please stand if you would, please. Both of you. And is there anyone that has signed up for a trip that has not yet gone here tonight? Wonderful. Stay standing. We've got something for you. Oh, it's my microphone thing. Gift card. I think you all are going to find this a wonderful organization to be in. And if I can get over here. Thank you, and thank you. Oh! It's great, thank you.
All right, our next audience participation activity involves how many states are represented by folks who have gone on a Pura Vida trip to Guatemala.
Yeah, we have to get our participants stood up first.
Oh, you do it.
Okay. Let's have the first person in on this row stand up, please. You can't play because you know the answer. And the second person in on these rows stand up. You're going to be our contestants. This is the prize, so you're going to want this. Okay, so Pura Vida has become an organization that has participants from all across the United States now. Mostly Colorado, as you would guess. But there are other states who have sent many participants as well. So the question is, after Colorado, the question this time is, how many states, including Colorado, have sent participants on a Pura Vida trip? Guess? Quick.
10. 40. 15. 12.
9. How many?
46.
46.
34.
34. 21. 28. 18. 25. 30. 12.
And the answer is
31.
31. Congratulations.
31 different states. Okay, now this next one's for everyone. Which state is number 2 behind Colorado? And we're going to try to pick this up, so just shout it out.
Nope.
Okay, I didn't hear it, so here's a clue. This is the prize from that state. A cheese. Wisconsin. Who said that first? Wisconsin. Who would have guessed?
Who'd have guessed? Who'd have thunk it?
Wisconsin. Thanks for playing along with that.
Yeah, that was fun. So you can see that Pura Vida's impact has reached far and wide. 31 states. I was impressed with that. So it's time to introduce the paddle race. So I think we have a thermometer to show you as far as where we are at this point in time. And we're going to open up the first two gifting categories. The $2,000 and the $1,000 giving levels will be available on Octria, your Octria app, to make a donation. You can see, maybe you can see, I can't see, but it looks like we're somewhere just short of 20,000, maybe 18? 18?
18? 18, said someone with eyes.
Yes. So we're about $18,000, and this includes amounts that have been bid in a silent auction, as well as donations from the board of directors. So that's been a great start, and we'd like to get that over the $30,000 target level. And we can do that in a big way with the $1,000, $2,000 donations. And we're shooting for 10 donors at those levels combined. So if you would like to pull up your app and plug either the $2,000 or $1,000 level, that'd be great. We'll be opening up additional donation levels as we go through the program, so there'll be other opportunities at lower levels to donate if you're more comfortable with that.
And there is a QR code that will take you directly to the paddle raise section of the website for the donations. And right now the 1,000, 2,000 will be active. As we get through the program, we'll lower those down to some other levels as well.
And if you've been playing with the silent auction and you can see the drop-down menu, that you can hit the drop-down menu and there's an option for the paddle race right there. So that'll get you there.
All right, we have our next speaker, Janet Forbes. Janet has served as senior pastor here at St. Luke's during Pura Vida's formative years, when it was growing, expanding its services, and becoming what it is today. I had the pleasure of traveling with Janet on at least one Pura Vida trip, and maybe more. I can't remember, and I don't think Janet can either. Janet's certainly a hands-on supporter of Pura Vida. Please join me in welcoming Janet Ford.
Well, almost 20 years ago, I was appointed as the new pastor of this congregation, St. Luke's United Methodist Church. Just a year earlier, in 2003, my previous congregation in Cheyenne, Wyoming, participated in a work team through the Methodist Church of Guatemala. We stayed in a guest hotel in Chichicastenango. We worked in Padalup 1, 12 miles up the mountain, conducted a Bible camp in a local school, as well as working with Pastor Juan Ishtan in his fledgling medical clinic. A year later, in 2004, as I began serving this young congregation, just 21 years old at the time, I was thrilled to find a mission-passionate community which partnered with peoples, locally and globally. At the time, St. Luke was invested in Cambodia. This congregation had raised $125,000 to build a training academy near the Angkor Wat Temple in Siem Reap. Well, over that first year, as I listened to the widespread hunger for mission involvement, I began to long for an international partnership in this hemisphere that was affordable for most of the church members. I wanted a partnership where travelers didn't have to sleep on the ground under mosquito netting. I wanted lodging in a guest hotel that had warm showers, a safe indigenous kitchen, and access to local markets. I already trusted the Methodist Church of Guatemala to host work teams and to go that extra mile to build friendships across language and culture. And I knew that God was preparing this pathway for St. Luke's when Laurie Gilbert, a young mom and mission pioneer in this congregation, told me about someone she knew who was a member at Trinity United Methodist Church downtown. It seems he was launching a nonprofit ministry in Guatemala known as Pura Vida. His name was Mark Ely. Well, Laurie and I led that first Guatemala mission team in March 2005, our first, with Mark as our trip leader. Many of you who have become leaders over the years can find yourselves in this blast from the past. All of us with dark hair. We visited the El Hogar Niña orphanage, did some painting, and played with the children. We did some construction and painting at the Methodist Retreat Center in Lamoa. We visited the local school, whose building eventually became the John Wesley School. We shopped at the market in Chichicastenango, attended worship at the local Methodist church, and visited Antigua. Our steepest learning curve was the hosting of 3 afternoons of Bible camp for the village of Lamoa in an open meadow near the lake. We were well prepared with Bible stories, songs in Spanish, crafts, dental hygiene, and field games. However, we became victims of our popularity as the number of children grew exponentially each day to around 300 by the last afternoon. The most memorable and somewhat frightening moment was from that last afternoon. It was the water balloon game. Yes, against Mark's specific instructions, we had buckets of water balloons, foolishly expecting an orderly game of toss between the pairs of children. We soon realized that water balloons are a tantalizing, tempting, enticing prospect for any child of any culture. However, add the language challenges and the ratio of adults to children, which I'm sure by that last afternoon was 1 adult to 1,000 children, we were surprised and stunned at our total loss of control. Betsy Kiak served as our Bible camp leader. She gathered the children together with her puppet parrot named Rojo. Of all of us on the team, she was the one that all of the children recognized and loved. Therefore, she became the best potential partner for some fun with their confiscated water balloons. Now, several of us were inside the community building getting supplies ready for the final closing, when through that window, we saw Betsy running toward us. She was trying to fend off the balloons that were being thrown at her. She was drenched and laughing, deeply laughing. But when she got plastered against that window, she became the lone target of a balloon barrage. She was no longer laughing. She looked like she was drowning as she disappeared in explosions of water. I still don't know if other adults stepped into the fray, I pray so, or if the children simply ran out of ammunition. Later that evening, as we debriefed the day, Betsy's one comment was, "Rethink the water balloons." And we laughed until our sides ached. We all keep learning don't we? For this congregation, and for others, I'm sure, Pura Vida has become a teacher in mission education and charitable giving. The Pura Vida website makes this statement, quote, "The challenge is to give in such a way that beneficiaries become more sufficient, self-sufficient in the long term," end quote. Pura Vida now works to create programs and relationships that harness our impulse to give toward lasting change, offering a hand up instead of a handout, encouraging partnership, not dependency. Over the last 20 years, Pura Vida has grown in both measurable outcomes and in the self-determination and leadership of its indigenous partners. Included are construction projects, 13 adobe homes, always blessed with love and gratitude, 36 cinder block homes, always in partnership with the families, portions of the retreat center in Lamoa, portions of the orphanage El Hogar Niño, 3 classrooms, 1 kitchen, and a wall at the Rosario School, formerly the Cornstalk School. I was on the team when Mark showed us this school, which was at the time constructed entirely of dried corn stalks. I remember that the teachers described how, during the rainy season, the water ran under the children's desks. Also, 2 classrooms at the San Jose Pacho School. At least 8 chicken coops for government microloan participants. 14 churches or organizations have gone on work missions, including 7 dental and surgical trips. The launching of the band program at the John Wesley School. 7 English camps. The water purification filter project for families. The nutrition program in Lamoa with Valentina. And 20 years of the annual milk distribution. Now hold on to your hats. 875 children have received scholarships to attend school. 519 girls, 356 boys. The support ministries that sustain the scholarship program include village-based program coordinators, the partnership with Amilcar and Fausto, directors of education at the John Wesley School in Santa Cruz del Quiche, the tutoring program so that our students have the best chance for success, and the Hope Endowment for University Students, founded by Laura and Mike Richards. This is Pedro, the first student that Bob and I sponsored. We went on to sponsor Pedro's 2 younger brothers, Salvador and Juan Carlos. Now we sponsor Emmanuel, who is 14, and Nellie, who is 18, and we pray that I'll be on an insight trip, maybe next year, for her graduation. Nellie has been a part of our family for 9 years. Her scholarship support is the gift that I give to our siblings, nieces, and nephews every Christmas. If you've got young adults or teenagers, give them a partial scholarship and let them watch the growth of that child. What an incredible record we celebrate tonight. The growth of the last 20 years will be sustained in the future by this amazing Pura Vida network. the team of village-based case managers, program coordinators, construction foremen and workers in Guatemala, our dedicated executive and staff, full-time volunteers, and board of directors, and a passionate and committed cadre of student sponsors and donors. Thank you for loving the children of the Western Highlands of Guatemala toward thriving. They are creating a better future, not only for themselves, their families, their villages, and their country, but for us as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. It's time for another audience participation event. Okay. Oh, yeah, you'd better now. We'd like to recognize anyone who has contributed to Pura Vida through administrative support, volunteerism. If you have translated letters to or from Guatemala, would you please stand? If you have translated letters to or from Guatemala, would you please stand? Thank you. She never listens to me, my sister.
Yeah, I know.
If you have helped with the annual events, you can stay standing back there. Stay standing, please. If you have helped with the annual gathering events, the silent auctions, any of the, over the last 20 years now. So if you've done any events in the past 20 years, please stand. Thank you. If you have participated in the organization or help with fundraising events in the past 20 years, would you please stand? Yay. If you have been on the Pura Vida Board of Directors or are currently on the Board of Directors, would you please stand? And if you have provided IT support or anything I've forgotten, would you please stand? We recognize all of these administrative volunteers. Thank you for being who you are and what you do. Thank you.
Okay, paddle raise update. I'm sure you're all wondering, as I was until I got the news. Where are we?
It's a drum
roll. Great, that's good. It's enough. Where are we on our goal of 10 major paddle raise? Oh, there's murmurs in the crowd.
Well,
Murmurs in the
we're
crowd.
seeing the results. Oh, Ken stole your thunder.
No, but he doesn't know how many. He knows the total.
I bet he knows.
Ken, can I do part of this? We have so far gotten 10 major donors, 10 paddle raises, 2,000 or 1,000. That's awesome. That's awesome. Some of that's probably coming from the online folks. You guys are doing great. Well, now, if you go into the paddle raise, you're gonna have a couple more options. The 2,000, 1,000 is not going to go away, but we'll also include the $500 and the $250 amounts for giving. So get back in there, take a look, and click away. And maybe we should extend our challenge to 15. What do you think of that, bro?
I love it.
Let's do it. Let's see if we get 5 more at the high level on the paddle raise. Out there, in here.
If you're on the fence, you've been thinking about it.
Yeah. Fall on the big side of the fence. The big numbers are good.
If not, the 500 and the 250 are there also.
And keep paying attention to your items out here.
That's right. I hope you're still bidding out there. Those are, we especially would like somebody to focus on the Cabo trips. Those are a steal right now. So get in there and take a peek. Those are going to be fun.
Yeah. We need to get some bids coming in on those trips. The Cabos particularly. Click, click, click.
You don't want to bid on the Tuscany thing because that's you're on.
Yeah,
you got that one?
leave
Okay.
that one alone.
All right. Every year, Pura Vida presents a Pure Life Award to someone who has gone above and beyond in their support of Pura Vida. And this year is no exception. The award was given earlier this week by Mark Ely and Laura Richards in a Zoom call because the recipient wasn't able to make the trip to Colorado to be here in person. So we have a video of the presentation we'd like to show now.
Each year, Pura Vida likes to give our Pure Life Award at our annual gala to someone who's made a significant contribution to the work of Pura Vida and what we are doing in Guatemala. This year, since it's our 20th anniversary, we thought it would be especially fitting to give it to someone who's made a long-term impact on that work. Mark Ely, who is our founder and executive director, is here to tell you a little bit about this year's recipient.
Sister Helen, I just have a few words for you. Mainly, I just wanted to tell you how important you are to our foundational years in Guatemala. 20 years ago when I first showed up. You gave me refuge from the chaos of the orphanage. You introduced me to the local teachers. And who knew that our scholarship program would come out of that meeting with those teachers that you facilitated? And I also wanted to thank you for demonstrating your gentle approach to equipping communities to care for themselves. It's a pattern that we use now too. So we owe a lot to you as Pura Vida.
Back in 2006 was when I came to visit you on my very first mission trip to Guatemala. And if you remember, I had my 2 teenage daughters with me. They're grown up now, but they were teenagers at the time. And after we had met you and Sister Connie, I turned to my girls and I said, you may have met 2 of the most amazing women you are ever going to meet in your life. And now, almost 18 years later, I still feel the exact same way. You are absolutely amazing. And I'm guessing that there's a whole lot of people here that are watching this tonight who've had the honor of meeting you down in Guatemala that feel the same way. So this year, on behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to show you and present to you the Pure Life Award that we're presenting to Sister Helen Werner for all of the wonderful things you've done down in Guatemala. You'll probably recognize, this is not the actual award, but it's a picture of the award, the picture that'll be on the front of your award, and you probably recognize it. It's the beautiful jacaranda tree that's in your backyard in Lamoa.
My heart is just filled with gratitude and joy for the relationships that we've had for so many years. I'm grateful for all you have done, and I'm grateful for the relationship that has grown up so that our mission is one. We are united in wanting to make a better world for these beautiful people of Guatemala. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Helen. And I had several people who reminded me that I had to thank you on the behalf of all the team members who've come down before. They wanted to thank you for all of the lemonade and chocolate chip cookies as well. So thank you so much for being our wonderful friend. Thank you for supporting our work. Thank you for all those cookies and lemonade. And just thanks for being the wonderful person you are. We're very grateful to you.
It's mutual. Can I just say a special thank you to Mark? I think Mark is like that seed that was planted in the moon, has just blossomed into such a beautiful, like the jacaranda tree. So,
Congratulations, Sister Helen. And I remember one of my trips down there, we were treated with her pineapple upside down cake, which was unbelievable.
So just a show of hands, who in here has eaten a chocolate chip cookie baked by Helen? That's awesome.
103.
103. And what age was she, Laura, when she had to leave Lamoa? Yeah, so over 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
What a dynamic woman.
Yeah. Okay. So we're off to student sponsors.
Yes, we are.
Student sponsors. So we would like for everyone, this audience participation once again, everyone who has ever sponsored a student through Pura Vida in Guatemala, please rise.
In the past or currently? Nice.
Okay. Anybody who has sponsored 5 or more students in Guatemala, please remain standing.
Yeah, we lose count. We lose count.
We got gift cards. Anyone who has sponsored 7 or more, please remain standing. That looks like 3 winners. Is that 3? All right. Oh, one declined the award. So,
well,
thank you so much. Thank you, guys. That's good. Thank you.
What is the number? 10? Awesome. Awesome.
And I hear a rumor that somebody who couldn't be here tonight has had up to over 20, I think, 21 maybe. And so that's quite a number.
But must be present to win. Must be present to win.
Must be present to win. Yep. All right.
Shall I go?
Also, anyone who has sponsored a student for the first time in 2023, would you please stand? Anyone?
It's not too late. It's not too late.
Right? There's only.
I think I did. I can't remember. It's the beginning of the series.
Well,
Do I have a card? I don't. I'm out.
You do? You don't?
I'm out.
Oh.
So while this is going out,
we have a bottle of Picamas for you.
Yeah.
Very good.
So education is at the foundation of Pura Vida. Student sponsorships through scholarships is really the way the organization helps these young people in Guatemala. And annually, students are interviewed in Guatemala in the villages by staff down there in the country, and they're screened and then offered as candidates for scholarship. Those students are taken into the program. Each year some will graduate, and the new ones will move into the program. But there's kind of a holding area, which is we call the unsponsored student fund. So once we commit to a student, they're going to go to school with a scholarship. So there's a period of time in the organization where we have some funding needs for the students that have not yet been selected by sponsors. So there's a way to give to the unsponsored student fund and dedicate those monies to this education program in this kind of transitory program to get them onto full scholarship. So please, as you can on the website, make a contribution to that as well.
Yes, and as Glenn said, it's not too late to sponsor a child this year. You could still make it into 2023's rolls. There's a table in the narthex as you exit on the left-hand side. Laura Richards will be there with some student packets, and we'll explain how that works and get you signed up if you're ready to do that.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce Lyle Smith-Graybill, who will share some thoughts on Pura Vida as a maturing organization. Lyle's a founding board member and past board president. With his extensive nonprofit expertise, Lyle provided critical organizational guidance in the early years of Pura Vida. Please welcome Lyle.
I'm wondering if there's another bottle of Picamas back there. I live in Windsor, Colorado, and work in Greeley every day. Is anybody from Fort Collins here? Yeah, so one time I asked a couple people from Fort Collins, where do you go for good Mexican food in Fort Collins? And they said, you should go to Greeley. So that's actually my sign of when I go into the groceries, the carnicerias in wherever, I look for the pica mas. That's like, if they have pica mas, you know they have like a good selection of hot sauce. So yes, Lyle Smith Greville is my name. And I got to know Mark actually through another organization called Renovare, which was founded by an author by the name of Richard Foster, who wrote a book called Celebration of Discipline. And one time, we used to actually have an office over here in the Inglewood office park, Inverness Office Park, and Mark just kind of showed up. And he was interested in what Renovare did. I think it was maybe devotional classics or celebration of discipline. And we started talking about what he was doing. And it was right about that time that he had gone down to Guatemala for the first time, or in that range, and had started to kind of get a vision for what could happen in Guatemala with student support and just the vision that was coming together. And actually, we rented him an office for a time at Renovare, and that's how I got to know Mark. One of the best things about Pura Vida, and I think one of the things that's really led to its maturity, is this idea, in my work now, I work at a United Way, and it's this idea of community development. And you already heard it a couple of times here this evening, where the goal of community development is to work with the community and to ask questions and to listen and to see what is needed in that community, and not to go and say, this is what you need, but to listen and then respond in service, in connecting to resources, in building capacity. And that's so much of what has led to what Pura Vida is right now, is this idea of community development and listening for hopes and dreams in those villages in Western Guatemala, and then responding by helping them build capacity and bringing additional resources. Another really important thing for Pura Vida has been the focus of working in the highlands of Western Guatemala. And, don't take this personal, Mark, but when I first started getting to know Mark, there were visions of, Pura Vida, I think, on all 7 continents. I don't know who we would work with in the Antarctic, but we would have found somebody to work with. And that was great. I mean, that's part of what's led to what Pura Vida is now. But there was a moment in time when there was a decision to just work in Guatemala and just work in the Western Highlands, and that has really helped the organization to become what it's become. Another was to focus on education and to support students to stay in school. And then at the same time, as you saw in the slides a few minutes ago, part of that too, that idea of community development, is to listen to the community and not just be so focused on education that that's all that Pura Vida does, but also to do things like home building, the solar project, the chicken coops, helping with clean water, just this understanding that for children to get a good education, they also need to have a quality of life, to have general health. And Pura Vida certainly has responded to that in its service footprint over the years. And then back to that idea of community development that I asked Mark in texting a couple of days ago, how many communities are we working with? There's about 11 communities, and there are 11 relationships in each of those communities that are key relationships. So this idea of deepening those relationships over time has led to this highly mature organization that Pura Vida is now. Another area is just practice, the practice of being a really great nonprofit organization. And I've worked, as Mark says, that's been my adult work life, is to be working with nonprofits for pay and also volunteering and on boards of directors. And I think that Pura Vida does a really good job of thinking like a nonprofit, thinking about how it communicates to us all, having a really solid administration. I know that the board has a really great financial plan. There's a diversity in the streams of funding for the organization, and it just really thinks about itself as a really great nonprofit and has really great nonprofit practices. A thing that we did while I was on the board that was asked for by the board and the staff responded was this idea of key performance indicators. And I know the board of directors, I'm sure the board of directors still reviews those every time it has a meeting. It looks at the number of students that are under scholarship, the number of work trips that are coming up, and the number of people that are registered. And that's just really important for a maturing organization, is to know the numbers and to continue to review those over time. Really great management too. One of the things that I think is really great about Pura Vida, and let's not it's one of the things that Mark has done, is he's translated that software developer experience to the way that Pura Vida runs. I'm not on the board anymore, but I'm still a volunteer, and I never see, the board or the staff. All of the stuff that I do to volunteer comes to me via email. And then I actually go on the website. What I do is actually mail out the sponsor packets. So when there's a new student sponsor, I get an email, and I go on the website, and I download the PDF and print it out and put a picture in. And I need no management from the staff. I just know what to do. And it's really great how the organization has developed over the years to mobilize lots of volunteers and to keep donors engaged through the website and through online means. Another thing that Mark mentioned to me that's been super important more recently is that Pura Vida is now a nonprofit in 2 countries. It's a nonprofit here in the United States, and it's also a nonprofit in Guatemala. And how important that is for transparency and for being an organization that is known and is accepted in Guatemala. And also that there's been a change, and it was a really important change during the time of COVID, to have the staff in Guatemala and to be able to, for them to be able to own the work of the organization there, because during that period of time, people from the States couldn't go to Guatemala to do management of the organization, but that the staff there has taken a lot of ownership, and that was really accelerated during COVID. Another one has been a really wonderful part of it is so many students now have gone from starting in the elementary grades, what we consider the elementary and secondary grades, to graduating university. And there are a number now of our staff in Guatemala that grew up through the scholarship program. Actually, one of the students that I sponsored, that Felicia, my spouse, and I sponsored, Sebastiana, is I think the lead person in Lamoa, the lead staff in Lamoa. So how great that's been, both for the life of the organization and also the life of those one-time students and now adults who are our partners, our paid partners in Guatemala. And another part of the maturing of that practice of a nonprofit organization is just fundraising. Pura Vida, for its size, it's very successful at fundraising through events like this, through the student sponsorship. One of the conversations that we had early on in the life of the organization was how important it is to have the student sponsorship both pay for the costs of the student and also the costs of administering the scholarship program. And making really smart decisions like that over time has led to, and being very disciplined, how it's led to a successful organization and a mature nonprofit organization. And the last thing I'd share about maturity for nonprofit, or for Pura Vida as a nonprofit, is this sense of ambition. And we're people of faith. One of the things I really struggle with in my life is, what should I do and what should God do? But I think that's one thing that Pura Vida is going to strike a great balance on, is the right amount of ambition. That we need to be ambitious in our world for the sake of service and for the sake of living out our faith. And at the same time, we can't be too ambitious. We can't overdo it. We can't stretch ourselves so thin that we won't be able to be successful. And I do think, for all of its years, Pura Vida has struck that right balance of ambition. And I do know it's because of the people and the board of directors, I would especially, you know, when I was on the board, I got to interact a lot with Laura Richards and your commitment to the organization, and Leslie and Mark, and so many people over the years, Ken, that have committed to the organization and have embraced that ambition for the sake of the students in Guatemala and their families. And also, another part of what it's done, and that's very important for all of us, for our own life and for our life of faith, is just to be generous. And this is one thing that Pura Vida has done for all of us, is to encourage generosity for our lives and for the lives of other people. And then I just leave us with a question, is how great it is to have an organization like Pura Vida, and what if there were more organizations like Pura Vida? And, you know, we can be oversaturated with efforts like this, but what if there was an organization like Pura Vida in every area of Guatemala? And I'm not saying that Pura Vida should be that organization, but this is the kind of work that we're called to do in the world, and to be generous and to be ambitious. And I'm just really thankful that we all have had the opportunity to be a part of what Pura Vida has done over the last 20 years. And Mark and everybody else, I don't think we're going to live as long as Sister Helen, but who knows, maybe so. And maybe we'll be just as active as she's been in all of her life. And if so, what a great blessing that will be for us and for the world.
Thank you, Lyle. So it's time for an audience quiz. Audience quiz.
First, I was corrected on the title of this.
Oh, yes.
I had Angry Trees, I think. It's Aspen's Gone Mad.
So it's close.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, in the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Aspen's Gone Mad.
We also
be bidding on that.
Yeah, be bidding on that. We also got a message from another of our live streamers. Mako in Guatemala sends his greetings and blessings to all of us here in this gathering. If some of you may not know Mako's story, he is our construction supervisor down there that builds many of the homes that we build down there. We get to know Mako pretty well and his crew. But he had a serious accident about 5 months ago, I think, where he was hit by a car while riding his motorcycle. So he's on a long road to recovery. And Mako, till we meet again, buddy.
Okay, so we have some questions for the crowd. These are just like trivia, maybe Pura Vida trivia.
They're not trivial, but they're trivia.
Yeah, okay. So what church or what organization has sponsored the most trips to Guatemala?
Shout it out.
Shout it out. St. Luke's, Trinity. Any other guesses?
Longmont?
It is St. Luke's. St. Luke's.
And you see up on the screen, you'll see St. Luke's, Trinity, First United Methodist of Loveland. So I think all those were shouted out.
And then what I think is a great thing is there's a lot of names under 2 trips. So there's St. Luke's and Trinity are kind of the anchors, have been the anchors of these trips. But the outreach has been substantial, I think. So it's great to see a large number of organizations in the fold supporting the organization and sending people down to Guatemala. Okay, next question. What organization sent the team down to build the first Adobe home? St. Luke's? Anybody else guesses? Trinity? Nope.
It was St. Luke's.
It was St. Luke's?
It was.
Oh, I was thinking of the cinder block one.
Oh.
I'm reading ahead. I'm reading ahead.
He's reading ahead. But
so
the first was St. Luke's, and the Adobe home, we numbered to 1 and 2. We affectionately called the first one Adobe 1 Kenobi.
Adobe 1 Kenobi?
Yes, Adobe 1 Kenobi.
Okay, you can get on then to the cinder block.
Oh, so the next question is, which organization went down to build the first cinder block home? We graduated from the traditional adobe homes to a more healthy environment, living environment for our families that we built for, and we started building cinder block homes. So what organization went down to build the first cinder block home? Trinity Youth Group?
St. Luke's? Nope.
Nope.
I'm right on nope on that one, right?
You're right on nope. It was Steamboat Springs United Methodist Church.
And I think one reason that the organization went to the cinder block homes is only Edie could really carry those adobe blocks.
If you know Edie.
Edie, yeah. Love her.
Yep.
She's awesome.
We'd also like to recognize the groups, organizations that sponsored the first scholarship students through Pura Vida. Who do you think, what organization do you think that was? Trinity? St. Luke's? It was Trinity. Back in 2002, 2003, they sent 2 trips down there in those 2 years, and you can see those, many of whom are here tonight. If you were on one of those trips, would you please stand so we could recognize you? Okay, I think that's our quiz for the night. Everybody pass?
Okay. Paddle raise update. The thermometer. Have we busted through the top?
Ooh, very close, very close. What's the number?
We are one swat away. One swat away.
One swat?
$1,000 swat.
A paddle
maybe?
swat?
Yeah,
paddle
swat. Raise.
Raise.
They don't give swats anymore. Okay, so all the levels are available now. We're opening the $200 and the $100 giving levels. So, heads down, click away. Let's get those in there. The 2,000, 1,500, and the 250 levels are still open. Let's see if we can get a few more at the higher level in.
If you haven't been able to get onto the what is it?
Gesundheit.
To the website, the QR code is up there again for you to access that site. All right, we'd like to introduce a very impressive video presentation that was put together by Jose Fares, who is a part of Pura Vida in Guatemala. He does a lot of our photography and videography in Guatemala, and he and his wife Nora are very involved in the program down there. And he put together this video called Planting Seeds. And it's a 19-minute video, but I'm told that it goes so quickly you won't even know that it was gone.
Well said, well said.
Enjoy.
Yo fui beneficiada con el programa Pura Vida con una beca en el año 2006, en donde se nos informó que 6 alumnos iban a ser beneficiados. Esto iba a ser por sus calificaciones. Entonces, cuando a mí me informaron que yo era beneficiada con una de esas becas, fue para mí una satisfacción, un alivio, una ayuda, y de poder decirle a mis papás: mamá, papá, tengo una ayuda que va a servir para poder estudiar en el Colegio Evangélico Metodista John Wesley, que fue donde nosotros iniciamos. Yo soy de la segunda promoción del colegio. Pues con haber sido seleccionada fue de gran bendición. Y creo que hoy he dado un paso más en mi carrera porque, como le digo, tengo un buen trabajo. Trabajo ahora en el Ministerio Público. Pues si Pura Vida no hubiera llegado a mi vida, tal vez no estaría donde estoy, no tuviera el trabajo que tengo, no hubiera llegado. Pura Vida llegó y cambió la vida de nosotros completamente, porque fue un salto de decir: tengo la oportunidad, y luego tengo la oportunidad de seguir en diversificado, y luego la universidad, porque ya me dijeron que sí me van a apoyar hasta donde yo quiera. Entonces, hasta el día de hoy, Pura Vida ha cambiado mi vida completamente.
Mi nombre es Carlos Alfredo Castro, tengo 29 años de edad, actualmente casado, bendito Dios. Laboralmente pues trabajamos ya juntamente con otro compañero hace años atrás. Hicimos un negocito que ahora pues ya está bastante grande, y pues gracias a Dios ya actualmente pues llevamos 10 años con 4 sucursales. Contamos 2 aquí en Santa Cruz del Quiché, uno en Chichicastenango y uno en Chiché. Aproximadamente más o menos para el 2011 recuerdo que Pura Vida me brindó una ayuda muy grande y muy especial para mí. Impactó bastante en mi vida personal, y tanto también como laboral actualmente, porque de los tantos años que me estuvieron ayudando en el colegio, seguí abierto en la universidad donde estudié administración de empresas, me ayudó bastante. Eso hizo a que viéramos el mundo diferente. Estoy eternamente agradecido con el programa de becas Pura Vida por todo este tiempo que me estuvo apoyando, y por los tantos años que sigue apoyando a la población aquí en Guatemala. Estamos muy agradecidos, y pues los que vienen, las generaciones que vienen detrás, yo sé que va a impactar algo positivo en la vida de ellos. Aparte de eso, quizá aportamos un poco a la economía del país, que contamos con varios carpinteros que les damos trabajo para crear todos estos bellos muebles, y tanto también por los temas de venta, locales rentados. Pues aquí todo es así. Así como me ayudaron, me apoyaron, yo estoy muy agradecido con eso. Y en este momento yo tengo la oportunidad también de apoyar a alguien, pues gracias a Dios lo he hecho. Tal vez no es mucho, pero no sé, pero se siente bien el dar también y no solo recibir, porque también sentí muy bonito cuando me ayudaron, y siento bonito también el poder ayudar.
es Axel Benjamín Reyes. Soy de Santa Cruz del Quiché y tengo 28 años. Desde pequeño yo iba a una iglesia metodista, bíblica Quiché, allá en Santa Cruz del Quiché. Uno de los hermanos de ahí puso un colegio, el hermano Amílcar Solórzano. Ahí fue donde surgió el programa de becas. Yo inicié con media beca y luego me apadrinaron para diversificado. Recuerdo que ya tenía beca completa y mis padrinos me dieron el apoyo económico de la colegiatura de la universidad por 4 años. Es de mucha satisfacción para mí haber terminado mi carrera y ejercerla. Pues yo siempre me miré como alguien que sirviera a mi comunidad, a mi familia, a mi sociedad. Pues lo estoy haciendo y me siento muy satisfecho con eso, muy contento, muy alegre. Soy enfermero. Trabajo en el Hospital Departamental de Sololá. Estoy en el área de sala de operaciones. Lo que nos gusta ver es la rehabilitación de una persona y que se va a rehabilitar y va a salir del hospital, ¿verdad? Eso es una gran satisfacción. Cuando yo obtuve la beca de Pura Vida, me dediqué prácticamente solo a estudiar y llevaba 2 carreras. La carrera de enfermería yo la estudié en la Universidad Rafael Andívar y seguía paralelamente una carrera que se llama Administración de Empresas, la licenciatura de Administración de Empresas en la Universidad de San Carlos de Guatemala. Por lo tanto, cuando me gradué de enfermería, me faltaba poco para cerrar mi pensum de Administración de Empresas, el cual ya lo tengo cerrado. Y ahora estoy en proceso de tesis de Administración de Empresas. Y este año inicié con mi tercera carrera, que es Ciencias Jurídicas y Sociales. Y pues estoy iniciando, voy en el primer semestre. Para quienes estén pensando en apadrinar a alguien, es una buena decisión. Y las personas de aquí de Guatemala lo necesitamos.
Thank you, Jose, for putting that fine video together, and for all of you who may have recognized a younger version of yourselves on those pictures.
Okay, we've got an update on the silent auction. It's going to close 5 minutes after, we mentioned this before, 5 minutes after the close of this program. We still have to get to hear from Mark. That's coming up yet, but just kind of a warning on the silent auction. And also, there's been some items that have had opening bid amounts reduced. So if there were some things you were going, I just don't know if I can quite afford that, take a look again. The price may have come down where you feel comfortable jumping in on that. Let's see. Another thing on the silent auction. Oh, I'm going to do, no, never mind. Thank you.
So, paddle raise update. We have a...
Ooh, we got still a little bit of a gap.
Almost there, almost there. Just need a few more
swats.
Swats.
Just a few more
raises.
A few more swings.
What's the number, Ken? 28,883.
Oh,
come on now.
That's a nice round number.
You live streamers, jump on the Octrio website there. Let's do it. Oh, I'm supposed to talk. Some gifts may still be processing, so that we may actually be over the, but we don't think.
Let's don't count on that,
we
though.
Can't count on that.
Can't count on that.
And also, the Octrio website and the paddle raise opportunities will still be there for the following another 7 days. So a week after today, the opportunity to give will close.
All right. Finally, I get to introduce a man who needs no introduction. I'm going to anyway. Founder, the leader, and the inspiration of Pura Vida. The fruits of his labor are represented by the people in this room, the faces on that video, administrative assistant in Guatemala, a businessman in Santa Cruz, a nurse in an operating room studying to be a lawyer. Those are all things that have come out of this organization. There are university graduates that weren't even born when Mark started this organization. 20 years is a long time. Well, I've had a chance to take a few long walks with Mark. Me and Jerry, Lance Willoughby, who's probably online, and Bruce Houchins out here in the audience. I've spent a few hundred miles together on some trails, and Matthew was with us. I know, Matthew, I'm sorry, buddy.
Hard to keep up with Matthew.
It is. Well, on our trails, carried our packs, our gear, food, tents, hiked for 10, 12 miles and set up camp, pitch our tents, eat, go to bed. We get up in the morning. Well, a lot of us got trail names. Well, Mark's trail name was Burning Daylight. Mark was always the first one up, the first one ready to go. He was always just a little bit ahead of the rest of us. We'd get done with breakfast and I'd go, we'd say, okay, let's break camp, let's get ready to go. I'd go over and start tearing my tent. I'd turn around, he's backpack on, he's ready to go. And Matthew's ready to go too. So Mark was always just a little bit ahead. He was patient, he's kind, always ready to help. And I think those qualities is what he has brought through the organization of Pura Vida, with a kind strength, a quiet determination, and a heck of a lot of humility. So, 20 years, let's celebrate that and welcome Mark up here to the stage.
Stay here. Thanks, man. You left out a detail.
No.
I'd be packed and ready to go, and he'd be starting a campfire. I'm like, come on.
We got to have a campfire.
Every morning?
Every morning.
Can we give these guys a hand? This is so hard. They volunteered to do it. It's just, they're doing such a great job. Thanks, guys. I'm going to keep it concise. As Glenn says, I'm always very concise. Ken Fong and I were going through hundreds of photos to make some of these videos tonight. At a recent meeting, Ken noted two things about this. He said, "We sure got a lot done in the last 20 years, and we sure looked really young in some of those old photos." And I think that's because during the last 20 years, it's just gone by so quickly, we can't even believe it. It's like, did I ever really look that young? But it's been 20 years, and now is the time to stop and think, where have we come from, and where are we going? So when I recruited our first 6 scholarship students in 2002, pre-Pura Vida, I was well aware that the impact would not be known for many years. It was just a simple act of faith. It was a joint effort between a student and a sponsor to see what might happen. We didn't really know. We are now beginning to see the results. I'm especially excited to begin work on our new Educational Outcomes program, which will identify what's working well in the scholarship program and areas for improvement. We are now in the process, right now, of interviewing students, all students who've ever passed through our program, coming up on 800 or so. The interview results, combined with years of historical data that we have in our systems, should yield some useful trends. And we're very curious to see what will grow from the seeds that were planted 20 years ago. And hopefully at the next year's meeting, I'll be able to tell you some more of these stories. We're hoping that the data will show which educational paths and career tracks are creating balanced, civic-minded, and employable citizens. This will allow us to tweak the scholarship program to incentivize those areas of study. And I think there's going to be real value in this going forward. Another important part of our future is legacy giving. In the last few years, legacy gifts have been fundamental to our success, specifically large bequests, which have allowed us to increase our base of scholarship students. The idea is to eventually create a pool of students who have been vetted on scholarship for a year before being open to sponsorship. And we expect this to increase student retention. We also want to leverage matched giving to grow our programs. More companies seem to be getting into the spirit of supporting their employees' charities these days, and this is an easy and painless way to double the value of your donation. So we will be encouraging supporters to check with their employers to see if they'll match donations. And we're already signed up with some of the major donation matching consolidators such as Benevity. In our case, increased matching donations just means more education in Guatemala. So at 20 years, we're really at an inflection point here. We have excellent staff here and in Guatemala. We're hiring our own students to run our programs. We have an engaged board of directors. Our systems are mature and stable. Our volunteers are amazing and enthusiastic. We have a ton of momentum that can push us forward. So for me, the future is now. The future is our students. The future is you. And the future is going to be very interesting. So I invite you to help us continue creating a brighter future for the children of Guatemala. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So we're running a little bit longer than we promised or suggested we might. However, we are at a very interesting time in our presentation here. We have here, hermetically sealed in a box, a brand new iPad that we'll be giving away shortly. Right?
Yeah.
We're gonna play a game.
Like so short, like right now.
Like right now. So
that's real shortly.
I have a coin.
You have a coin.
So we're gonna do heads and tails, and we'll explain how the game works real soon. But I wanted to tell a little bit of story, a little story about the coin that I'm using tonight. I brought this coin home from one of my early Guatemala trips. I think it was a 2008 trip. And we were visiting the John Wesley School, and I think we had the band play and, you know, all the things that you enjoy there. And
they're loud. They're loud.
Yeah, the acoustics aren't great in there, but it was really cool. And we had a little bit of time before we had to leave to go back to the hotel. And so we were kicking the soccer ball around with some of the kids in the courtyard there, and we were getting ready to leave. And one of the kids came up and handed me this coin. You know?
Yeah.
And so it was like
it can kind of get you.
I said, well, what's the meaning behind this? So yeah. I think he just wanted to show his appreciation for us being there. So you're supposed to step in when I do that.
Sorry, I left you hanging, but we need to determine what's the head and what's the tail of the
I'm not
coin.
done with my story, okay? So I hung on to that
coin. Try to jump in.
You saw it. I've hung on to that coin since then, 15 years or so, to remind myself that the little blessings that we get from the things that we give, you never know where they're going to come from. Come from a little kid like that. Okay, jump in. Anyway,
too late. I tried.
So that's the coin, and I'm hanging on to it for another 15. So we have a head. This is a one Quetzal coin. You've all seen them if you've been down there. And on the front is a picture of the Quetzal bird, and on the back is the I think the crest or something of Guatemala. So the bird will be heads, bird's heads, and the Quetzal will be, or the other side will be tails.
Isn't the Quetzal the bird?
Quetzal is the bird.
So the bird's head?
Oh, the Quetzal is the coin.
Oh, a one-sided coin. That's not going to work.
We were going to do heads, shoulders, knees, and toes, but we couldn't find a four-sided coin.
Okay, how many people have played heads and tails before? Okay, here's how it works. Everybody got to stand up. Everybody's got to be up for this. And by the way, thanks to the people wearing beads that have donated to the iPad gift. That's awesome. So this is your head. Everybody's got that. This is your head. And you've stood up so you can touch your tail, right? So we're going to flip the coin. Before we flip, you need to choose. I choose heads or I choose tails. We flip the coin. If it's heads and you have your hands on your head, you remain standing. If you chose wrong, you sit down. Then we do it again. You can't do this. You can change, and you can't.
Between flips, you can change.
Yeah, between flips, you can change. Okay, so let's go. We're gonna flip. So make a choice. Is it heads?
Everybody make a choice.
Heads or tails? Honor system here, but watch your neighbor. Watch your neighbor.
Ready?
Honor system.
All right, first flip.
Okay, here's the first flip, and it is.
It's tails.
It's tails.
Heads
sit down. Tails, stay standing. Okay? Oh, we lost about half.
Should work out that way.
Yeah.
So,
okay, choose again.
Choose again. You don't have to choose the same thing. You can choose a different thing.
Heads or tails. Make a choice.
Heads or tails. Everybody ready?
Here we go.
Everybody
Flip.
ready?
What you got?
It's tails once again.
Heads, sit down.
What are the odds?
What are the odds? 50-50.
So heads sit down.
Heads sit down, tails stay standing. That's pretty good.
It's about half.
Okay, make a choice. Heads or tails? Okay.
Everybody ready?
Everybody in position?
Here we go. It is heads.
Tails sit down.
Tails sit down. Heads remain standing.
All right.
What do we have? 2, 4, 6. About 10 people maybe. Okay, make your choice.
Declare.
Make your selection. Heads or tails?
Heads or tails?
Everybody ready?
Here's the flip. A lot of tails this time, Jer.
Tails, huh? It is heads.
Tails, sit down.
Be seated. So we have 3 remaining participants.
I see 2. Where's the third?
Right there behind one.
Oh, okay. I see it.
I see 3.
I see 3.
All right.
Okay.
You three make your selection.
Remember, make your choice. This is what's at stake. So choose wisely. Heads or tails? 2 heads and a tail.
All right. And the answer is, what is it? Tails. Woo! We have a winner. You also have to give a speech now, so.
Congratulations.
All right, could we get one final thermometer update?
I think we're there.
We need a.
Are we there, Ken? $500 short.
500.
I think we're going to get there somehow.
We're going to stay here till we. No, we will get there. It will happen.
Okay, we're near the close. 5 minutes. There's going to be a clock up there. Ken's going to put a clock up. That's going to be the last chance to bid on your items out there you've been watching so closely. If you're a winner tonight, please stick around, take your winning bid, your gift home, please. If you're not here and you won and you're online in the area, you can come by the church tomorrow between 10 and noon and pick up your item.
The winner should get an email, right?
The winner should get an email, right?
About your winnings, so.
And thirdly, and very importantly, make sure you check out and pay
on the
website. Yes, that's important. Or the thermometer doesn't really mean anything. Okay, I think that is it. If you have some items are able to be mailed, and this is really for the people out in the cyberspace there. If you want something shipped and it has a shipping charge or a fee, please include that when you pay, and then we'll get it shipped out to you as soon as we can.
I'd like to, on behalf of Pura Vida, Mark, the board, and all the staff of Pura Vida, we would like to thank St. Luke's once again for the use of the facilities, to Michelle for her blessing early on, and for Ken and Sarah in the sound booth for making us look or sound.
The best they could. They did the best they could.
Okay, so. And also the event organizers and the silent auction people, the donors for the silent auction, all the people who were involved with that, and everyone who attended both in person and online. Thank you for being here. And you know what time it is?
Time to say goodnight, Dick.
It's time to say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.